Shaun Bailey, the Conservative candidate for the Mayor of London, joins me now. So, Shaun, who's right on this? Sadiq Khan says the Prime Minister was lying yesterday.
Good afternoon, Dan. Let me just say first and foremost, Sadiq Khan is lying. He's using what my son refers to as tricksy language. Yes, there was a reduction in the deficit, but there's a huge ballooning in the debt. TfL currently has a record level of debt, which Londoners will be charged with paying back some 13 billion pound. Let's be clear, Sadiq Khan is using COVID as a smokescreen to cover up 5 years of very poor management.
And so where is this going to end up? Because clearly now you have the Prime Minister engaging in open warfare with the London Mayor. Where do you see this going?
Firstly, it is the Prime Minister and I who engage in open warfare with Sadiq Khan, and I'm glad the government are wading in. The government will cover the cost of COVID. I'm confident in that, but they won't cover the cost of Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan did effectively bankrupt TfL, and if he didn't, to any listener who doubts, ask the mayor this: why then, if TfL wasn't struggling, did he lay off 30% of TfL staff? 30% of TfL staff lost their job. Did he do that for a joke, or did he do that because he bought in a fares freeze that cost TfL £640 million and left them with a huge black hole in their finances? That's the reality of what the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has done.
And anyone who is in London, Shaun, knows that the Mayor has used the excuse of COVID to ruin our city in so many ways. I mean, if you speak to any black cab driver, any Uber driver in London, it is now impossible to get around. He's put these ugly barriers up in the street, dividing roads, apparently for walkers and cyclists that simply aren't there. I just don't understand how he thinks he's enhancing the city by doing that.
He's not. Sadiq Khan is all over the place. On one level, he's saying to everybody to stay home. We should have a circuit breaker and lockdown. Of course, we should not. London is an ecosystem. We need people to move around London. We need people to return to work if they can be provided with a COVID-safe environment. Yes, we have to keep people safe. But what Sadiq Khan's doing, to my utter astonishment, he's trying to close down London. And I go back to my first point. He's trying to use COVID as a smokescreen for his poor management. Every time he asks for London to close down, he kills another business. We're in a situation where 3,000 jobs a day are being lost, and the Mayor of London is compounding that with ridiculous traffic measures, which local people are up in arms about, and businesses are terrified because people's livelihoods are being damaged.
Shaun, can I come to the thing that I'm actually most angry about? It's this issue of the 10 p.m. curfew. Because we cannot forget it was the Mayor Sadiq Khan who was demanding that this curfew be introduced. Now, I said right from the start, before its introduction, having spoken to lots of people in the hospitality industry, this curfew will be damaging because actually it will only increase COVID rates because you're forcing people out on the streets at the same time and you're doing huge damage to business. But let's just know Sadiq Khan, he demanded it. He's done a total U-turn and is now demanding that the government drop the curfew. And whatever you think about the curfew, Shaun Bailey, surely this shows that this isn't a man whose judgment we can trust.
But this is what I've been trying to say to Londoners. I've been speaking to a lot of Londoners now who generally consider themselves a Labour supporter. And I've said to them, there's a difference between supporting Sadiq Khan, who has flopped remorsefully on these things to suit him politically rather than deliver for London. And a lot of Londoners are now seen at Labour or Conservative voting. And that's why I have a plan to repair TfL's finances and also to stand up London. It is an ecosystem that is also wired into the rest of the country. So if you're sat outside London thinking, here they go again, London, 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 this isn't about London as an island. It's about London as a big part of what this country needs to get back on its feet, and how Sadiq Khan, with his flip-flopping and his doublespeak, is utterly destroying the future of our families. We need work to pay the bill of COVID. We need work to feed our families. And I repeat, I have a plan to stand up TfL and I have a plan to help London get back on its feet, all of which Sadiq Khan simply has no clue of what to do.
Shaun Bailey, Conservative candidate for the Mayor of London. Absolute pleasure to have you. A legal note. We asked the Mayor Sadiq Khan to come on the show for an interview. He wouldn't come on and so far has not provided us with a statement. We will continue to offer him the right to reply and we live in hope he will come on this show. to actually receive some tough treatment that he doesn't get from our rivals in the mainstream media, obviously stacked with liberal Sadiq Khan supporting presenters for some reason.